on to...
Let's jump onto those running backs. I hate running backs so much. They get hurt so much. It's...
They
you know
do.
what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just, it's so
they can
frustrating because you could draft a great running back number 1 and they get hurt. ACL out. It's just so risky. I hate them, but...
Well, and thankfully, everyone in our league last year thought Arian Foster was gonna bust out last season. I ended up getting Arian Foster at the end of the second round, and he was a bright point on my roster. He did miss a few games throughout the year, but averaged in the games that he played.
I mean, every running back's probably
16,
going to miss a
17.
couple, honestly, just with little nicks and bruises or Lacy missed a couple of games with a concussion. So running back, you're never going to get, it's rare you're going to get a full healthy season, 16 games out of him,
Yeah. We're going to run down the list. We'll probably go a little bit quicker.
My boy Eddie.
There are a lot of positions. But yeah, number 1, Eddie Lacy.
I wouldn't say he's proven yet. Like,
number 1. I wouldn't take him number 1.
If have the suspension, I think Le'Veon definitely over for sure.
No,
there's no question.
Absolutely. And I would, depending on how far both of them fall, I would even still consider taking Le'Veon over Eddie Lacy. I think
with the suspension or without?
With the suspension.
Okay.
I think the floor for Le'Veon Bell is pretty high, and the ceiling is also, you saw it last year, super high as well. Le'Veon Bell isn't going to drop out of the top 10. Whereas Eddie Lacy, if combined with injuries and just game situations, there were a lot of situations.
Lacy's going to be more of a touchdown dependent type running back.
Yeah, well, he was last year.
Touchdowns.
He was last year. Down the stretch, he was running for 68, 70 yards, occasionally a little bit more, maybe a little bit less sometimes, but
it's about those TDs because he's big, so they're going to give him at the goal line. He's not going to be one of those backs that's going to get you a lot of yardage because they'll use our other back. I don't even remember his name right now.
James Starks.
James Starks. They used him quite a bit last year.
They did, and especially they would run James Starks with the no huddle. So if you're at the end of a game hoping that Eddie Lacy is going to score you that last touchdown to put you in the lead, don't hold your breath.
I think what's nice about Lacy though is you're getting consistent production. Like he'll get you consistently 10 to 15 points. Get you 60 yards and a touchdown. You're like basically getting that almost every game. Are you getting like a 30-point game? I mean, maybe, but
maybe if he scores 4 touchdowns, maybe
he's not going to run like an 80-yard touchdown.
No, so and there were a couple times he broke out, but he would only run it for 50 yards. He'd get caught, and then he'd have to go out, bring in James Starks, and probably score a touchdown in the next couple plays. But number 3, Jamaal Charles.
Can't complain.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously the one of the most elite talents at running back in the league.
I just wish that offense was a little bit more dynamic. With Alex Smith there, doesn't even throw to his receivers. I just wish he was on a team that's a little bit more dynamic. So
that they don't have to force him.
They just key on, hey, we just shut down Jamaal Charles.
Although
Alex Smith's only going to throw
I
to the tight end.
I could see the KC offense opening up a little bit. They got Jeremy Maclin in the offseason. Hopefully Alex Smith is able to build a chemistry with him.
I don't know.
I'm not holding out hope. But I mean,
I'd take Peterson's next on the list. I'd take Peterson over Jamaal, I think.
Peterson is 31. There's not a very good track record for running backs that are over even 29.
He did sit out a year though, which kind of gives him a year of like where he's fully rested for a year, which I think gives him maybe another kind of an advantage because the running backs you see like tons of wear and tear. The next season they're like not as good. So he basically got to sit out a whole year where he got to rest his whole body. So I think that's going to bode well for this year. And maybe
and a lot of people making cases for Adrian Peterson as the number 1 running back to be taken. I've heard of a few experts that say that he has very good potential to be the best fantasy.
I'd take him over Jamaal, I think, at this point.
Jamaal Charles always scares me. His knees have been a problem for him. Every other year,
every hit he takes, you're like,
you hold your breath.
Just like, no,
you're like, don't. You want him to?
He gets like a little slow getting up off the ground. You're like, oh crap,
right?
There it goes. There goes my season.
I traded for him at the end of last season or towards the middle part of the season, and he walks with like a weird limp, like kind of like his own like style of walking. And every time he got tackled, it would make me think like, oh, he hurt his ankle. And then he'd get up and walk off the field, and it's like
he gets up, he like limps, and then looks at the camera, and then just goes like smiles, like
he holds up a sign.
Kidding fantasy owners, like
he holds up a sign like I got you. Number 5, Marshawn Lynch, another bruiser.
I've never liked Marshawn Lynch. I've never owned him in any league ever. I've just always not seen a whole lot of upside, but every year he does well. So
yeah, I mean
don't listen to me. Draft him. I guess.
There's not a whole lot of downside. I mean, Seattle runs the ball, or at least in previous years has run the ball more than any team. I mean, there's just always going to be opportunities for him, and they evidently get down close to the goal line a lot. And
once I draft him, though, he'll probably suck.
Yeah,
I mean, so I'm just going to keep avoiding.
We'll keep a live update if Tim drafts him. We'll let you guys know. So don't.
I mean, that's what always happens in fantasy. The one guy you avoid drafting, you finally get him, and then he's terrible for you. That's just how it works.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, my boy Arian Foster, number 6.
I think I'd take him over Marshawn, just because I want to avoid taking Marshawn.
Yeah. I mean, I can easily see either one of them doing better than the other. Arian Foster more likely with the injuries. That I think Marshawn Lynch is a little bit sturdier. He is getting older, as well as Arian Foster though. So I mean, I don't know. That's a toss up. Arian Foster could go anywhere in that top.
What about
10.
you, Todd? Would you take Marshawn or Arian if you had a choice between the two?
Personally, if both of them are staying healthy, I'm taking Arian Foster. I mean, his track record.
Yeah, he's a faster back. I would take a faster back in a starting role over a bruiser more times than not if I know they're both going to stay healthy.
If they're going to stay healthy,
that is the big if.
You never know with those running backs, man.
You never know.
One of my biggest surprises to see in the top 10, number 7, C.J. Anderson from the Broncos. I have to say from the Broncos because not a lot of people they see that name, they're like, maybe I remember where he plays.
It's hard to draft him, especially that high, because you want to see more. These other running backs have a little bit more of a track record. Multiple years they're good, so you know what you're getting. Yeah. C.J. Anderson had half a year that he was really good. So
kind of half a year.
I mean, Doug Martin had a great year and then terrible. You know what I mean? So there's not enough track record for me to draft him in the top 10. Like I'm taking Matt Forte, I'm taking DeMarco Murray, I'm taking LeSean McCoy over him, no question, because there's a track record of what you're getting. CJ is too much of a mystery for me, so I wouldn't take him top 10.
Yeah, well, and another thing is, in previous years, you've heard of guys like Sean Moreno, Monty Ball, all those. Probably Ronnie Hillman.
Broncos have a weird running game.
Yeah, none of those guys are that great, and I don't think either is C.J. Anderson. But all of them fit into the system that they have. And when you have Peyton Manning as your quarterback, you're going to have opportunities to run. And that's what C.J. Anderson had at the end of last season. They could have easily chosen to give the ball to Monty Ball, and he probably would have done close to the same. C.J. Anderson is, I think, a little bit faster than Monty Ball, but there's always the threat that they're just going to decide one day to hand it off to someone else because C.J. Anderson misses a block and then Monty Ball does well, and there goes the entirety of your production from he would be, if he's drafted at 7, your first running back.
I think if you're going to take him, get the backup. I think that's a big priority.
Yeah, no, definitely handcuff C.J. Anderson with,
because whoever's in there is going to be productive.
The Broncos backup.
Whoever's in there is going to be productive. So if CJ doesn't do well, they'll put someone else and they'll be productive. So.
And Tim ran off the next 3, Matt Forte, DeMarco Murray, LeSean McCoy. I'll ask you guys, which one of those do you think is going to be the best? Matt Forte is the only one on the same team. DeMarco is now on Philly. LeSean's on Buffalo. Who do you think is going to be tops out of those 3?
Well, right now, I mean, I play it safe with Matt Forte. He's already used to his offensive line, and you already know his track record, what he can do on the Bears offense. DeMarco Murray, he was kind of used to that Cowboys offensive line. Really huge.
I mean, I could have ran for...
Really, Brian? You could have, huh?
I could have.
I would have liked to see that.
I'll play linebackers.
Unfortunately, you don't get the chance.
Well, for me, I think I would still go with DeMarco. Just because I mean, with that, I know it's different than the Cowboys offense, but I know their offensive line was good, but he's still a really good back. You still have to be a really good back. To produce those numbers?
What if Sam Bradford gets hurt, though? If Sam Bradford gets hurt, I think the Eagles...
But they have Sanchez, who did just... I think Sanchez and Sam Bradford are on the same level, honestly.
No, I disagree with that. Sam Bradford at the beginning of last season did very well. Was a top 10 quarterback on one of the worst teams in the league. And, I mean, he was still doing well. Sam Bradford has always been a good talent. He's just never been able to put together a string of more than a game or two because he's always hurt. Whether the Eagles' offensive line is going to be able to protect him, I don't know. But my guy out of those three, and I've said this to a number of guys in our league, which I hope I don't end up regretting. I'm saying it out loud now. I think LeSean McCoy, I might take him number 1. He's rated at number 10, and there might be other guys that I take ahead of him just because they're a little bit safer. And if you have a high first-round pick or a high pick of running back, you probably want to go not with maybe the guy that you think might do the best, but the guy that might be the safest, because running backs can drop so hard. But I think LeSean McCoy might come out and be the best running back in all of football this year. But not just fantasy wise, but I mean yards per carry, yards per catch, touchdowns. I mean, he's proven
CJ Spiller there in Buffalo as well.
Yes, I mean CJ Spiller had previous years that were amazing. One year in particular. Well, and he had flashes. He had flashes throughout those years that he would have 3 good games and then drop, and then a couple games and he'd get hurt.
But now you made me rethink that. I'd consider taking McCoy over those 3.
And you guys wonder why I can trade with people? Maybe I actually don't want LeSean McCoy.
Oh wow, Brian, playing the mind games. I love it.
And as a lot of you guys know, if you've played fantasy before, after about the first 10 running backs, they drop pretty hard. The next 5 are Jeremy Hill, Mark Ingram, Alfred Morris, Lamar Miller, and Carlos Hyde. Yikes.
Yep. Not a whole lot of track record there to go by, except for Morris has been.
You guys have
been consistent, but no upside.
Yeah, if you guys play on ESPN in a 1 quarterback league or a standard league, you'll see that running backs are rated really high. Even guys that aren't necessarily that great are ahead of elite receivers, elite quarterbacks, elite tight ends, just because running backs drop off really hard. And so if you're in a 1 quarterback league,
scarcity,
you
can creates that value.
I mean, guys that draft 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds still end up having good teams because they could draft a quarterback and then 2 receivers and then.
As long as those running backs don't get hurt, that's your risk reward.
Yeah,
you're getting
there's a lot of
position
risk
that's
reward.
the most scarce, but you're also getting the position that's the most chance for injury.
Yeah,
so it's
and a lot
risk,
of running backs,
higher reward. So.
A lot of times, I know Matthew Berry says this a lot. He'll read off a guy, say he's going to do well, and then right after that, he'll say handcuff him with his backup. Not because his backup is spectacular or he's going to put up numbers that rival that guy, but because it takes 1 scrum in the middle of the field on a up-the-gut run to end a guy's season. And, I mean, it's a fluky play. Receivers have a lot less chance of that happening. Any other position on the field have a lot less chance of that happening. But running backs are always in the position to get hurt. We'll go one.
Any other surprises there from that top 20 or any guys you think?
I don't see many surprises. I think a guy that is higher ranked than he probably should be is Jonathan Stewart at 18. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember D'Angelo Williams is gone.
I don't know, actually.
I think I heard that. I think I remember a scenario where he said before the team announced it that he was leaving. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But either way, Jonathan Stewart is not really that good. I think there's guys behind him that have a good chance of being better. Latavius Murray being one of them, Oakland running back. He showed flashes last year, ended up getting hurt. But I think Oakland's, at least their offense, their defense is in shambles, but I think their offense has the potential to turn around.
I like that word, shamble.
But yeah, no, I think their offense is, they have a lot of young talent. They could potentially have a few good games here and there, whereas Jonathan Stewart, maybe he'll get 8 points, and that would be an okay season for him. You wouldn't expect it one way or the other, but Latavius Murray, he showed last year too that he has big play potential. And in games, even if Oakland's down and they're passing it, when teams get up by 21 points because Oakland's defense is so bad, they have potential for it to be lazy on defense, and that could lead to breakout runs. And I think Latavius Murray has that ability to do. Number 14, I'll ask your guys' opinion on Lamar Miller.
Well, I mean, we
don't want to talk about that. Lamar's been this. He's hurt us in the past. I don't trust him.
Yeah, I'm not touching him.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, we're not touching him with the 10-foot pole.
Yeah, well, and
unless he's like, somehow like 6th round.
I harken back to Tannehill being ranked 11th for quarterbacks, Lamar Miller being 14th for running backs. I don't
Miami.
I think Miami's offense is not that
vibe.
good. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of struggles in there.
For me, what I see there is I see a guy like Jeremy Hill, who everyone's really high on. He's getting ranked really high.
Yeah.
I just hate that split between him and Giovanni.
You got Gio Bernard, who has the potential to be a top 15, top 20 running back easily. So you have the split there, plus the fact that you really don't have, again, no track record. You have less than a season to really evaluate him. So I don't know. That's a bit high, I think, to take him. I'd take a guy like Morris. I'd take a guy like Hyde over him.
I'd
even probably take one of the rookie running backs, like Gurley or Gordon, because I think rookie running backs can pop. If you can get the rookie running back, they can explode and jump on the scene right away.
I would
time to develop.
I would give you guys a warning of looking at Andre Ellington from last year. He was supposedly, I think, if I remember correctly, at the beginning of the season, he could have easily been in a lot of people's top 10. He showed a lot of flashes. He had a high yards per carry and yards per attempt.
He's just such a small back.
Yeah,
you don't see small backs
and even
really last.
Even more so, even more so, Jeremy Hill has a huge handicap in the fact that he's paired with a serviceable back in Giovanni Bernard. Andre Ellington didn't have anybody behind him, and he still didn't produce like he was projected to.
I think with those smaller backs too, I mean, the most you're really looking at potential-wise is like that Darren Sproles, fast, quick, catch it. Like if you're in a PPR league, those guys are more valuable.
We probably should have
like
mentioned
a bell cow running back. Those aren't ideally the type. They're just too small. They're too injury prone. They can't handle that many carries. You need them to have explosive plays or at least get receptions to make up for the less handoffs they're going to get because they just can't take that much of a beating.
Yeah, I mean, running backs are pretty. Once you get past the 10 mark, there's a lot of running backs. Rashad Jennings from the Giants.
That's actually not even that's that for that.
Yeah, no, he's at 27. Andre Ellington, I kind of crapped on him a second ago, but I mean he's at 25. He's definitely worth that or above.
Todd Gurley, the rookie.
You got your two rookies, Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon at 17. Todd Gurley at 22.
Melvin could be pretty good if with the offense already really good.
San Diego's already pretty established.
That's a nice little spot
and
for him to pop.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at a guy like Ryan Matthews that struggled with injuries, but had series of.
I mean, if he was healthy, he would have been a top 10, top 15 back.
Yeah,
because he's good. So
maybe a guy to keep your eye on. LeGarrette Blount. You never know when he's going to get touches in New England. He's a good guy to maybe keep on your bench for a potential bye week situation.
I still remember when he punched that guy in the face
at Oregon.
Yeah,
no,
that's like my.
He's also a head case. So if he's on your bench and then suspended by the time you actually get to use him, don't be surprised. You got the two Dallas running backs, Joseph Randle and Darren McFadden. I would be wary of those. I think Darren McFadden has potential to be better than Joseph Randle, more so than Joseph Randle. Better than
Randle's
Darren McFadden.
Has been there for a while, and I've seen him. He's not anything special.
Yeah, no, neither is Darren McFadden. He's been hurt all the time.
He wasn't hurt. He's got a little bit more special ability, but a little bit more. Ryan Matthews, we mentioned him playing well when he was healthy in San Diego. He's now in Philly, behind DeMarco Murray. If DeMarco Murray goes down, he had a high workload last year. He's obviously had a lot of time to recover, but if he goes down at any point this year, Ryan Matthews is probably one of the. He'll be most avid.
I don't know if he's.
I think he'll get you. You have to handcuff Matthews with or even if you don't own, you want to get Matt. Like Matthew's going to get owned for sure because that the potential there to be on with his skill set
and he's a starter.
Offense,
well, yeah,
he could become the starter.
That whole situation
huge.
in the off season was kind of weird because Matthew said he was going to sign for X amount, X amount of money, X amount of years, and then I pretty sure within a week DeMarco said, "Yeah, I'm going to go to Philly," and Ryan Matthews probably could have opted to go somewhere and been a starter. But he decided to go play in Philly behind DeMarco Murray. I think they might use him a little bit more than people might think, especially with if DeMarco's running the ball a lot in third down situations. They'll bring in Ryan Matthews. He's a bit quicker, a little bit smaller. He's a better third down back, I think, than DeMarco potentially, depending on how they use him. And they could even use him in split back situations too, where they run a decoy and run someone out in the flats for a screen and then do a delayed handoff, that kind of stuff. So Ryan Matthews, definitely a guy to keep your eye on.